help us with this endeavor as well. So it's something we really need to pursue and push aggressively.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Okay. Thank you.
Last note, Mr. Shebel, you said there was a connection close to the town of Bowling Green, right here in 301. I thought we'd made that connection. Is that
I don't
that's
believe
a sewer
it's actually
connection?
been, no, I don't, we've made a sewer connection from this locality, or this location, as well as the Bowling Green Elementary and the school board office are connected by sewer, and we go all the way down just about to your house, where we actually make the connection into the town system. The water system actually...
You don't go to my house. That's on the other side. But the
where's
water...
the top of the hill, Anderson, and...
oh, yeah. Oh,
that's
right.
where we connected the manhole right there.
Okay, okay.
From there. And then the water system is directly across from the school admin building, is where our two systems come together. Matter of fact, that system is actually provided, the schools provided water from the town system, and on the other side of 301, we provide.
Right.
So we've got an area right there where we could do an interconnection to those two systems.
Yeah, that was my point, is we have that connection point, whether it's made or not's another one. And I know I talked to the mayor of Bowling Green. They're very excited about the project to go north on 301, so we may get closer to Port Royal, where our intake is, through AP Hill, then to the town, then to Milford, and then I guess to Carmel Church. So part of that is almost there. If we can avoid the perfect storms again, I think we're close to having it right. So.
Yes, and some of the discussions we've had is, what can we do with that permitted capacity that we're trying to get on Rappahannock River if we go elsewhere, and looking
Right.
at how to use that and to use that to our advantage as we move further down the road.
Okay. All right, well, gentlemen, I think there's one other question.
Well, nothing else. I know we did an emergency connection for Lake Caroline some years ago. It may be that we could work out an arrangement with the Hill to set up some type of emergency connection, just in cases like we had on the Memorial Day weekend,
Right.
when the perfect storm happened to us.
They've got some system upgrades they're going to have to look at also, from where the Jamboree site was, where all those wells are, trying to get them out to 301. So it's definitely some infrastructure on their end as well as ours that'll have to be looked at. But it would be very easily to put an emergency connection in between us and the town of Bowling Green, as long as the two boards would agree on a contract, and we would have emergency backup to each other, which would be very helpful. We could leave it closed unless there was an emergency, and I think it's something we could definitely work on fairly quickly and at a very little cost to do that as well.
Okay, thanks.
Once you investigate that with the town, I think that'll be a great thing for both of us.
Will do.
Okay. Gentlemen, again, thank you. Mr. White, we really appreciate you coming,
Welcome.
and thanks for the
Thank you, sir.
presentation.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just one, I guess, housekeeping matter on this. It's my understanding we have to have a public hearing on the water supply plan.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
so we would ask the board to authorize staff to advertise that public hearing on that plan for an upcoming meeting. Joey, second meeting in July, perhaps? First meeting in July?
The second meeting's fine. I don't think there's an urgency. I mean, we need to get it done, but just in case there is public comment that we need to address, we want to make sure that we've got time to do that. And then we'll also be bringing back a first reading for the drought response plan and how that would go also. So we'll be bringing that back at the July meeting.
So we're looking at July 12th or the 26th?
The 12th is fine. We'll work it into the
12th 's fine.
agendas, whatever works with Mr. Parton.
Okay, if we can do the 12th, that might be really good. I think it would be the sooner the better. Okay. Thank you again, gentlemen.
Okay,
Thank you.
All right, appointments, Recreational Advisory Board. And I think, I know Mattapanai, that representative wanted to serve again. Ms. Underwood, you have your one?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Ms. Nicole Tillman for the
Nicole Tillman?
Recreation. Yes.
Okay. Let's see how many we have, and we'll do it all as one motion if that works.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Hopwood, do you have one?
I've already done mine with Mr. Wick.
I'm sorry. Yes, yes. And I was caught up in the water and didn't switch my page, excuse me. So we have Bowling Green, Madison, Mattapanai, Reedy Church. You're the only one who's done. Thank you, Mr. Seeley.
I am not ready at this time. I'm still looking.
Mr. Akers?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Furrow has indicated he'd like to continue to serve, so I would certainly like to
Okay, and from the Mattapan District, Mr. Ware has said he'd be willing to serve again, so if we could have a motion for Ms. Tillman, Mr. Farrow, and Mr. Ware, that would be appropriate.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made, probably second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Rappahannock Emergency Medical Service, and Mr. Sprouse's appointment was over. Did we have another one? He wanted to be reappointed. And he's from, whose district is he from? Not that it matters. Mr. Sprouse. Bernard Sprouse was, he was the county's appointment that expires June 30th, and he's willing to be reappointed. I was just curious and asked which district he lived in, but it doesn't matter. Well, thank you. Okay. Is there a motion to reappoint Mr. Sprouse?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Underwood, seconded by Mr. Popowitz. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. And we have the Board of Supervisors representative to the Joint Land Use Study. And I think we had all said it would be appropriate if Mr. Popowitz was there.
Right.
So, Ms. Popowitz, you're going to be volunteered, or would you like to volunteer?
I'll volunteer for that, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
Motion to appoint Mr. Popowitz.
Second.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Akers, seconded by Mr. Seeley, that Mr. Popowitz would serve on the,
We also need an alternate,
Yeah,
Mr.
can we
Chairman.
push our luck and get an alternate as well?
Mr. Popowitz and Mr. Popowitz.
Mr. Poppins and Mr. Poppins.
Who else borders AP Hill? It's not the Mattapan District, it's not Madison, it's not Reedy Church.
I will volunteer, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Seeley, for volunteering. Don't you love the draft?
Haven't been in the Navy, never again volunteer yourself. You think I'd learn.
Exactly. Well, you could volunteer or you could be volunteered. So we're gonna ask Mr. Popowitz. The motion was Mr. Popowitz as the primary representative and Mr. Seeley as the alternate. That was the motion again, right? All in favor, say aye.
I think I need to amend that, right? Just we,
I was amending it for you, but that's okay. You can make the formal amendment so it's right.
you're fine.
Okay. So that's the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously. We will move on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda items A through I. Anyone like anything to be removed from the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, item F and item I.
Item F is the request for an expedited public hearing from Ms. Allison's daycare, and item I is request for right-of-way vacation. Any others? Motion to approve the consent agenda, items A through E, G, and H would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously. Agenda item F, Mr. Seeley, your questions are?
Agenda item F, we were given 2 dates for the public hearing. And since I don't know necessarily what's involved in getting from where we are to where they need to be a public hearing, I was just curious if we were going to just pick a date, rather than it being one or the other and not knowing who was ready.
Mr. Fincham?
We had left it somewhat open, Mr. Seeley. The Planning Commission will consider this request tomorrow night. And assuming they make a recommendation tomorrow night, we could actually put it on the July 12th board agenda. If they did not act tomorrow night and either deferred to a work session or to their July meeting, then it would allow us to schedule the public hearing for the July 26th board meeting. So that's the reason we left it open. It's somewhat subject to Planning Commission action.
But in this case, expedited is relative because it would normally be August or September, so we're moving it up to July, one or the other, right?
That's correct, and the whole purpose was to work with the applicant so that the daycare establishment could be open prior or in conjunction with the school year.
Any
I
objections?
mean, we could set specifically a date for July 26th, and that would be fine.
Any objections?
My question would be, when we make a motion to move this on to public hearing, it's going to be an expedited public hearing, we wouldn't normally say either this date or that date. We would say a date that is going to be held. So
Take your hand, please. Yeah, you cut him off. Okay.
Yeah, yes, sir, that's correct. So you could say July 26th, which is the specific date, and
Is that an issue? Is that an issue for Allison? 26 is not an issue for you?
I was just trying to get it one date or the other. I just, ambiguous was going to be tough
Sure,
to
that's okay.
advertise.
Okay. All right, your question on agenda item I?
Item I just saw the staff is still in the process of contacting each property owner to ascertain their interest in the right-of-way vacation. And again, we were looking at a public hearing, and I didn't know what that was going to take to complete.
the letters have been drafted and are on my desk for final review. The normal process is to send the letters out, and once we get the letters back, then we schedule the public hearing. I don't anticipate anybody would object to the right-of-way vacation, since they're actually obtaining additional land in the process. But stranger things have happened. And we would schedule the public hearing, once we got all the letters back, and we expect that we'll have those back and could schedule that.
I guess that was just my concern. I saw this, and having dealt with one of these before, and you're not sure who's coming from where, and they hear the public hearing is scheduled, and they're being railroaded because they weren't notified and didn't know, and didn't want to put us all in a bad situation. That's why I was just curious about this.
Yes, sir, I understand. Letters are on my desk for final review. They'll go out this week. And I would expect that by next week, if there are any concerns, we will hear of them.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to take this one for August the 9th? August the 9th? Okay, Mr. Seeley, you have your answers for F and I?
I'll make a motion to accept items F and I.
For public hearing on the 26th of July and August 9th
August
respectively.
9th. Yes.
Mr. Akers made second, motion made by Mr. Seeley, second by Mr. Akers. Discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. And I think at this time we'll take our dinner break, and we will come back shortly after 7:30, and we will take up public comments and then our one public hearing right after that. So shortly after 7:30, there's a school teacher somewhere here. I don't see her. Oh, well, that's okay. All right, shortly after 7:30, we'll reconvene. Thank you. Okay. We will reconvene the Caroline County Board of Supervisors meeting for June 14th. We had left off on our agenda at the public comment section, which is scheduled for 7:30. At this point in time, we will allow anyone who would like to speak, regardless of, with the exception of public hearings. And since our only public hearing today is on the vacation of a right-of-way, I don't expect anybody will use the public hearing time to talk about the right-of-way extension. So at this point in time, we will allow anyone who would like to speak regarding any subject matter to come forward and address the board. Mrs. Brooks, I see you coming forward. And when you come forward, please, if you would, just for the record, state your name and your voting district only. You don't have to give us your full address, just your name and your voting district. Mrs. Brooks, as always, good to see you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening. I'm Kay Brooks. I'm a resident of the Bowling Green District. I'm the director of the Caroline Library, former treasurer for Caroline's Promise, mother of 3 grown children, grandmother to 2, and an advocate for better child care in Caroline County. I'm a come here, but I feel like Caroline is my home. We moved to the county in 1976. And in 1980, I started working with the Caroline Library Board. I will never forget the day when I went to Betty Williams' house to get my children, and she said, Those mean children came to visit today. The next day, Catherine Burris and I took the day off to visit with Bill and Irene Miller and other members of the Community Services Board to discuss what needed to be done to bring adequate child care to Caroline County. I even spoke to the J-Lark Committee in Richmond and like to think that our efforts have brought adequate facilities for parents to take their children to in Caroline while they work. One of the first activities that I did when I started the library was to do storytelling and summer program activities so that the children can enjoy books and learn how books can enrich their lives. When we created Caroline's Promise in 2001, our mission was to provide safe places for children to go to fulfill the 5 needs: ongoing relationship, structured activities, healthy starts, and a future, marketable skills, and opportunities to give back. We came up with fundraisers, one of them being the Washington Redskins Challenge, where businesses had funds supporting our programs. And as you know, the Dawn Branch is going to be opening later this summer, and one of the key programs there will be an after-school programs for the children in the community. There's no school in the Reedy Church District, a place for the children to go. So, but I am preparing a homework center that will feature databases, textbooks, and other resources to help the children in their studies. All of this would not be possible without you, the Board of Supervisors, who supported our project last year. And also the Dawn Committee, who for the last 18 months has featured monthly activities to raise money for this state-of-the-art facility. One day I was in the library and I asked some patrons and one of the staff, would you support a Y for Caroline County? And they replied with a resounding, yeah. I'd never been to a YMCA, but I've been learning a lot about YMCAs and what they offer to the community. Not only does it offer facilities to train the body, but they offer resources and a safe place for after-school activities. I would much rather a child be exposed to structured activities in a safe environment than alone at home after school, watching TV, or visiting unsafe places on the internet. I'm part of the Y Committee, and just like the Dawn Committee, we're planning monthly activities that people will enjoy doing while supporting and raising funds to build a Y. I'm also a business owner and know how these tough times are, how they're impacting the businesses, the government. I mean, I'm a county employee as well, and the families in general. I appreciate every sale that goes out of my shop, and I also see the despair on some of the faces of the patrons who come into the library when they are searching for jobs, retuning their application, their resumes so that they can apply for jobs. But these people still have to eat, and our committee has come up with ways, fundraising opportunities for people to provide a meal with a smile and offer healthy activities such as a marathon, a bike ride, a trail ride, even a motorcycle rally. All fun events that will help to build a Y. In closing, I would like to say that the Y isn't just for young people. In this past week, we have lost what I call our 3 icons of the Caroline community. These were men in their 80s who might have benefited if they had had a Y to exercise their bodies, enrich their minds, offer a place to network and socialize with peers. A Y can offer all these things to kids of all ages from 3 to 93. We don't come empty-handed. I have never come to you empty-handed. I come to you with ideas to support any project for the county and for the good of Caroline County. But I hope that you'll give the community a reason to come together and support a facility that can build stronger families, which is something we really need nowadays, and to enrich the lives of our young. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Brooks. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the board? And I didn't say anything to Mrs. Brooks, but you have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Laughlin, and I live in the Port Royal District. And Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I want to thank you for this opportunity to present this initial petition concerning what is considered a serious issue in our little neighborhood. I live on Petmire Hill Road. I have a petition here that I have signatures for that I have a copy for each one of the members. We, the undersigned, request that the Caroline County Board of Supervisors review the issuance of permits for professional fireworks display on private property so as to ensure that such permits are not granted at the exclusion of a neighborhood, especially if such permit is in direct conflict with the existing Caroline County noise ordinance that protects the rights of a neighborhood to the enjoyment of their property. I would like to also additionally thank my representative, Mr. Popowitz. I've been able to communicate with him, and he has been kind enough to return my calls. But I wanted it to be on the record. I have been directed by everyone that I have spoken with, not just in the county, but outside of the county, to bring it before the board. And I thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. If you would, thank you. Mr. Parker? I'll just give you my message. Mr. Parker? Oh. Take one and pass it down.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Alfred Parker. I'm from the Bowling Green District, of which Mr. Seeley so ably serves. I come to speak in behalf of the YMCA. I do not contemplate that the county will pass up this opportunity to have a YMCA in our midst. It is a fine organization, and I need not to remind you about its benefits, because it benefits all, the youth, seniors such as myself, and I've been associated not in a position of directing, but as a user of the YMCA for 60 of my 84 years. And that's why I feel qualified to tell you that it is so beneficial for seniors. We can take a little dip in the pool, we can use the exercise equipment, and many other benefits. But the fine thing is the YMCA turns nobody away. The poor, the rich, the able-bodied, and the feeble, they're all equally accepted. So let's don't miss this opportunity. In our neighboring county of King George, recently opened YMCA is enjoying tremendous success. And I would very much like to see that opportunity given to the citizens of Caroline County. I wish you would take under advisement that this is an opportunity. I know that money is short. As the old saying goes, times are tough everywhere. But sometimes, when we are most impecunious, we have to spend what we have for future benefits. Think about it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'm Robert Ellis. I'm of the Bowling Green District. I lived in Caroline County for 5 years. I'm a retired police officer in Washington, D.C., a federal police officer. Mr. Chairman and Caroline County Supervisors, I am before you at the request of some of my coworkers from Caroline County Transportation. I've addressed the last 2 meetings of the Caroline County School Board, also at my coworkers' request. The message I have been asked to deliver to you is that the school bus drivers of Caroline Public Schools are sick of the runaround they have been getting concerning pay raises. Mr. Chairman, a couple of months ago, I attended the supervisors meeting and I talked to you about a pay raise for the bus drivers. I talked to Mr. Poporitz about a pay raise for the bus drivers. Both of you said you understood and that you do what you can for Caroline County Public Schools. Mr. Thomas, you stated that the bus drivers were attending the wrong meeting. You said instead of attending Caroline County Supervisors meeting, the bus drivers should be attending the Caroline County School Board meetings. I told you that the school board stated the problem wasn't with them, but with the supervisors. Well, I'm here tonight to let you know just how slick the county supervisors are. Mr. Thomas, you assured me that you and the county supervisors fund and support the school board. You stated if the school bus drivers, employees of Caroline Public Schools, weren't getting their in-step raises, pay raises, and what they deserve, it wasn't because you and the other supervisors didn't give the school board what they asked for. You said you give the school board what they asked for, and that bus drivers needed to go to school board to see why the bus drivers weren't getting paid when they were receiving the money from the supervisors. It was shown to me that transportation does not receive what they ask for, and it was shown to me how they struggle to keep safe buses and good bus drivers on the road. It was shown to me how the supervisors have shortchanged the Caroline County School Board funding, and because of it, Caroline County schools are struggling to keep not only good bus drivers, but are struggling to keep good teachers, cafeteria workers, maintenance crews, and building upgrades and good repairs. The school board, Mr. Kellogg and Mr. Satellite have bent over backwards to make cuts so their employees can have a pay raise. They claim the only way there will be raises is if the supervisors give them the money they have asked for. The school boards say they won't sacrifice the children of Caroline County by cutting important maintenance to buildings, new additions for growing classrooms, and school programs. They say that if it comes down to the children of Caroline County receiving what they need for a good education and being able to make it in this world, then the bus drivers, cafeteria workers, maintenance, and teachers will have to sacrifice. Mr. Thomas, if a bus driver takes out health insurance, she gets very little in pay or nothing at all. Yes, if a bus driver takes out badly needed health insurance, some of the drivers take home pay is $0. Caroline County has bus drivers making less than $10 an hour. All the counties surrounding Caroline County pay their bus drivers more. Even with the 8% that we were told we may get, it doesn't bring us near what the other counties are paying their bus drivers. I make $7,156 a year, and with an 8% raise, I will be making $7,728 a year, while the surrounding counties make about $9,464 a year. Even with their 8% raise, we make $1,735 less than the surrounding counties. Several days, I drove all the way to Port Royal in Mr. Poporitz's district with a kid screaming to the top of his voice. You know what happens when then? Other kids start crying and screaming. I cleaned up vomit twice. Other bus drivers got shot at, threatened, broken up fights, and have a hard time feeding their families. Shame on all of you, the supervisors of Caroline County, for not providing Caroline schools what they need in upkeep of the schools, providing the supplies needed, the buildings needed, and the pay that Caroline school employees need to provide for their own families. We have sacrificed for the children, and now we stand before you and say enough is enough. Screaming kids, sick kids, complaining parents, reports drivers have to make to their supervisors and principals because of misbehaved kids, fights, verbal abuse, bus drivers being threatened and shot at, and the long hours of paperwork to satisfy the county. We go through all this for $39.32, and that's before taxes. I stand before you to say on behalf of Caroline County bus drivers, car drivers, and employees of Caroline County Transportation, we are unhappy with you and the Caroline County School Board. We appreciate you considering a bonus for us, but the plain fact is that we deserve a raise, not a one-time bonus. We work hard for you and the citizens of Caroline County. Yes, we appreciate any bonus you give us, but we are not happy that next year, and hard to tell how many years from here on, we will have to stand before you and practically beg for a raise. All we ask for is to be brought up with the surrounding counties' pay scale of their bus drivers and employees.
Mr. Ellis, could you summarize, please?
Yes, sir. I just want to thank you for letting me address you, and all of us ask that you consider a request for a pay raise and not just a one-time bonus. We deserve a raise, not just a bonus. We deserve to know that we are appreciated. We want to know that we can count on our pay, and that is why we come before you and ask that you fund the Caroline County school system, not just for us, but for our children. Thank you, and I appreciate you listening to me.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, member of the Board of Supervisors, I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. My name is Barney Riley, and I serve as the CEO of the Rappahannock Area YMCA. I'm here to humbly request and urge you to vote in favor of a YMCA in Caroline County. In September of 2008, the Rappahannock Area YMCA was very fortunate to open its doors to its third facility in King George County. I parallel the success of King George County with the potential success of Caroline County, in that the rural business model has served King George very well. The King George YMCA has become the focal point of that community, and the success has been overwhelming. The YMCA, I've been blessed to be with the YMCA since 1984, 28 years. I started as a program director, then became the executive director of the Massett branch in South Stafford, and with the help of support of the community and our board of directors, we've been able to parlay the momentum of success of what we do in terms of increasing and improving the quality of life. We've been able to, in 2003, build a YMCA in Spotsylvania County. 2008, of course, as I just mentioned, King George County, and we've been successful in our before and after school program, where we're in every elementary school before and after school, not only in Stafford County but Spotsylvania. I grew up in Fairfax County, where I worked for the Parks and Rec Department every summer during my college years, and never really had any exposure to a YMCA. It wasn't until I came down to the Fredericksburg area and I was teaching high school at Colonial Beach that I started working for the YMCA part-time, and I understood and began to see just what the YMCA is all about. And in 1984, August to be exact, I took my full-time position with the YMCA, and it was at that time that I began to see just how wide a brush the YMCA paints with. We are the largest provider in the region for people with disabilities. Every day we have school buses in the different jurisdictions with the young children with disabilities that utilize our facilities on a daily basis. In addition, with the Rappahannock Area Community Services Board, what happens to these children as they grow older and grow to become adults in their 40s, 50s, and 60s? We work with those different agencies, and again, they utilize the YMCA on a daily basis. A key component, and that's why I'm here tonight, I want to make sure you all understand, a key component of our mission is what we call our open doors policy, our financial assistance, which makes available memberships to everyone, whether it's a youth, family, or a senior citizen that lacks the financial wherewithal to be a member. In many cases, these people could not go to another club and pay the dues and be a member, and that is very important.
Could you summarize, Mr. Riley?
Yes, sir. I would just like to urge you all to vote in support of this YMCA and to fully understand the gravity and the totality that the YMCA will be available to everyone in the county despite their inability potentially to pay. To that end, we have a couple people that I would like to introduce, Jolene and Marty Doman.
Mr. Riley?
Yes, sir.
You've used up your 3 minutes.
Okay.
If they would like to come forward at a later point in time, we'd be happy to talk to them.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Jolene Doman.
How are you doing?
Fine, how are you?
Good.
This is my husband, Martin, and we're from Spotsylvania County, and we're part of the Open Doors program at the YMCA. The YMCA is more than just a building. You're going to find a family there. We met so many of their employees that have just treated us better than I ever thought they could, you know, from strangers. And it really brought tears to my eyes on how great they are. We've done so many programs there. My husband has been on dialysis for years, and that's how we originally got with the YMCA, because he was able to swim. And we took his first swim after 5 years and at their pool in the middle of winter. And my son has done sign language classes there. He will be 3 next month, and we've always participated since he was 6 months old. And he loves it. He likes to go. He calls it his school. We're part of the Time for Twos program. And come the fall, we're going to be part of the preschool program. And without the benefits of the Open Doors program, we would never be able to do this. When I look and see signs all over the place saying $100 here and $115 here just for preschool, I don't see how people can afford that. Anybody, you know, even with a full-time job, to afford that. And the Y's made it possible for us to be able to afford that and many other programs. And I love the YMCA. The people there are great. They've embraced us as family, and I would do anything for them just as they've done anything for us. And my family greatly appreciates them. So if you have the opportunity to have one here in your county, please do it.
Yes, do it.
You're going to have so many great opportunities given to many people who aren't able to do it. So thank you very much for our time, or your time. And I hope it really does bring a lot of benefits to your county, and I hope it helps your residents. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Supervisors. My name is Michelle Landry. I'm from King George County. I'm a member of the YMCA Open Doors program, and I wanted to talk to you about what the YMCA has meant for me and my family. I'm a single parent with 4 children, and without the Open Doors program, I wouldn't be able to afford to be a member of the Y and participate in many of the programs. Last summer, my children were able to participate with the summer camp and go on many field trips, because they made it affordable for me while I was working for them to attend that program. There aren't very many things for them to do in King George, and having a safe place for them to be is very important for me. And I know that while we're in the Y and participating in any of the events, it's safe, it's a community environment. I don't have to worry about people cursing or things going on that shouldn't be. I know that my children are safe, and that not only am I looking after them, but the entire staff is caring about their needs and what's going on with them. Sometimes I just go to the Y for peace of mind. Every evening there's an activity. I can go and sit and do my schoolwork, my college work, and I know that they're having fun and enjoying themselves with kids their age. I pay about 30% of the costs, so any program that comes available, which I have a flyer for you. The next one is youth basketball. It costs $30 for members, but instead of me paying the $30, I'll only have to pay 30% of that. So my 3-year-old will get to go every Saturday and play basketball with kids his own age, which is really important to me.